figure turned to the feeling that she was claw-like, facing the camera directly. Josh had always been intrigued by the abandoned house next to his apartment building. On a whim, he decided to explore it one hot afternoon. Climbing through a broken window, he landed in a dusty living room, the air thick with mildew. The house was eerily silent. Each step he took echoed through the empty halls. In the kitchen, he found a table set for dinner, dishes covered in dust. The sight unsettled him, but curiosity pushed him forward. Upstairs, he found a child's bedroom, toys scattered across the floor. A shadow moved in the corner of his eye. He turned, but the room was empty. Whispers began to echo through the halls, growing louder as he reached a locked door at the end of the hallway. He found a key on a nearby dresser and unlocked the door. Inside, the room was pitch black. Using his phone as a flashlight, he scanned the room and saw a figure standing in the corner. The figure turned slowly, revealing a face identical to his own, eyes wide with terror. Panicking, Josh stumbled back, crashing through the house and out the window. That night, safe in his apartment, he couldn't shake the feeling that his doppelganger was still watching, waiting for the right moment to appear again. Once upon a time, in a small town nestled among the rolling hills, there lived a young woman named Emily. She had just moved into a charming old house, full of history and character. Little did she know, this house held a dark secret. One stormy night, Emily found herself alone in her new home. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows and causing the old house to creak and groan. As she settled into the cozy living room, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Ignoring her unease, Emily turned on the television, hoping that the sound would drown out the eerie silence. But as she flipped through the channels, strange whispers seemed to emanate from the walls. The words were faint, barely audible, but they sent shivers down her spine. Fearfully, Emily decided to investigate the source of the mysterious whispers. She cautiously made her way down the dimly lit hallway, her heart pounding in her chest. The whispers grew louder, more insistent as she approached the basement door. Summoning her courage, Emily descended into the darkness. The whispers seemed to surround her, filling the air with an otherworldly presence. She felt a chill run down her spine as she reached the bottom of the stairs. In the basement, she discovered a hidden room covered in dust and cobwebs. In the center of the room stood an old, ornate mirror. It seemed to radiate an eerie energy, its surface reflecting distorted images. As Emily approached the mirror, she saw a figure standing behind her in the reflection. She turned around, but there was no one there. Panic seized her as she realized that the whispers were coming from within the mirror itself. The whispers grew louder, their words becoming more distinct. They spoke of a tragic past, of a restless spirit trapped within the mirror. Emily's heart raced as she realized that she had awakened something sinister. With trembling hands, she reached out to touch the mirror. The whispers intensified, their voices filled with anger and desperation. Suddenly, the mirror shattered, releasing a gust of icy wind that swept through the room. Emily stumbled backward, her heart pounding in her ears. The whispers ceased, the oppressive presence vanishing as quickly as it had appeared. The shattered mirror lay before her, a shattered reflection of the darkness it had contained. Terrified and shaken, Emily never returned to the basement again. She moved out of the house, leaving behind the whispers and the haunting presence. But she could never forget the chilling encounter, a disturbing true Home Alone story that forever haunted her dreams. And to this day, the old house stands, its secrets hidden within its walls, waiting for another unsuspecting soul to unlock its chilling mysteries. Emily had always enjoyed her solitude. As a teenager, she relished the quiet moments when her parents were away, leaving her alone in their spacious, creaky old house. But one fateful evening turned her love for solitude into a chilling nightmare. It was a stormy Friday night. Emily's parents had gone out for dinner, leaving her with strict instructions to lock all the doors and windows. She did and settled into the living room with a bowl of popcorn and a horror movie. The rain battered the windows and the wind howled through the trees outside, adding an eerie ambience to her night. Halfway through the movie, Emily heard a faint scratching sound coming from the basement. At first, she dismissed it as the old house settling, but the sound persisted, growing louder and more insistent. Her heart began to race. She muted the TV, straining to listen. The scratching continued, now accompanied by a low, guttural growl, Mustering her courage, Emily grabbed a flashlight and headed towards the basement door. She hesitated, her hand trembling as she reached for the doorknob. Taking a deep breath, she opened the door and shone the flashlight down the dark staircase. "Hello?" she called out, her voice wavering. There was no response, just the steady scratching and growling. Emily's mind raced with possibilities. An animal trapped down there, perhaps. She slowly descended the stairs, each creak of the steps amplifying her fear. As she reached the bottom, the beam of her flashlight revealed overturned boxes and scattered tools. The scratching was louder now, coming from behind the old furnace. She edged closer, her heart pounding in her chest. Suddenly, the growling stopped, replaced by an eerie silence. Emily felt a chill run down her spine. She rounded the furnace, and her flashlight fell on a sight that made her blood run cold. There, huddled in the corner, was a disheveled man, his eyes wild and bloodshot. His fingers, long and claw-like, were stained with dirt and blood. He looked up at Emily, a twisted smile spreading across his face. "Finally," he rasped, his voice hoarse. "I've been waiting for you." Emily screamed and bolted up the stairs, slamming the basement door behind her. She locked it, her hands shaking uncontrollably. She grabbed her phone and dialed 911, her voice frantic as she explained the situation. The operator assured her help was on the way, but the minutes stretched into what felt like hours. Emily heard the man banging on the basement door, his growls turning into maniacal laughter. She ran to the front door, checking the locks again, and then huddled in the corner of the living room, clutching her phone like a lifeline. Finally, the sound of sirens pierced the night. The police burst through the front door, and Emily pointed them to the basement. She could hear the struggle as they apprehended the intruder, his crazed laughter echoing up the stairs. The man was taken away, and the police assured Emily that she was safe, but the damage was done. That night changed everything for her. The safety and solitude of her home had been shattered, replaced by a lingering fear that would haunt her for years to come. Emily never stayed home alone again. The memory of those wild eyes and that twisted smile followed her, a constant reminder of the night her sanctuary turned into a house of horrors. Sarah's parents had left for the weekend, trusting their 17-year-old daughter to handle the house. The first evening was uneventful. She watched a couple of movies, ate some junk food, and went to bed early. But on the second night, the atmosphere in the house changed. The wind outside howled, rattling the windows. Sarah double-checked the locks before retreating to the comfort of her room. As she scrolled through social media, she noticed something odd. A notification indicated that her phone had synced with a new Bluetooth device named Unknown. Confused, she dismissed it as a glitch. Later that night, she heard faint tapping sounds. At first, she thought it was the branches against the window, but the sound was too rhythmic. It seemed to be coming from inside the house. Her heart raced as she crept downstairs. Every step she took seemed to echo through the empty house. She found nothing unusual in the living room or kitchen. Returning upstairs, she felt a chill as she passed the hallway closet. The door was slightly ajar, something she was certain hadn't been the case before. She mustered the courage to open it fully, but found only coats and shoes. Shaking off her paranoia, she locked her bedroom door and tried to sleep. Around 2 a.m., Sarah was jolted awake by a loud crash. It came from the basement. Her mind raced with scenarios of what could have caused it. Grabbing her phone, she dialed her parents, but the call wouldn't connect. The screen displayed "No service," which was strange because her reception was usually excellent. Taking a deep breath, she grabbed a flashlight and headed towards the basement door. Each step felt heavier than the last. She opened the door slowly, the hinges creaking loudly in the silent house. The basement was pitch dark. The flashlight beam cut through the darkness, revealing nothing but old furniture and stored boxes. Sarah's eyes landed on the fuse box. It was open, and several wires were pulled out. The realization hit her. Someone was tampering with the power. She turned to run back upstairs but froze when she heard a whisper. "Sarah." The voice was barely audible but unmistakably real. Her blood ran cold. She forced herself to move, bolting up the stairs and slamming the basement door shut. She pushed a heavy chair against it, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Suddenly, her phone lit up. It wasn't a call or a message, but a live feed from her home's security camera. The screen displayed a figure standing in the hallway outside her room. The figure was tall, dressed in dark clothes, and wore a mask that obscured their face. Panic surged through her veins. The figure turned, facing the camera directly, and raised a hand, waving slowly. Sarah's hands trembled as she locked her bedroom door. She scrambled to find anything she could use as a weapon and settled on a heavy lamp. The figure on the screen started moving towards her room. Each second felt like an eternity. She could hear footsteps now, slow and deliberate, getting closer. Her phone vibrated. A text message from an unknown number popped up. "I can see you." Tears welled in her eyes as she tried to think of a way out. Just then, she remembered the attic. It had a small, hidden door in the ceiling of her closet. She climbed up, silently pushing the door open and pulling herself into the attic. She heard her bedroom door creak open below. She covered her mouth to stifle a sob, listening to the intruder moving around her room, searching for her. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, she heard sirens in the distance. The intruder must have heard them too because the footsteps retreated. When the police arrived, they found her trembling in the attic, clutching her phone and the lamp. They never found the intruder, but Sarah never stayed home alone again. The memory of that masked figure and the whisper of her name haunted her every night, a constant reminder of the terror that lurked in the shadows.